Generative AI has eliminated the effort required to produce long, detailed emails. While the time cost to write a 2,000-word analysis has dropped to near zero, the cognitive cost for the executive remains the same. The incentive to be brief is gone, but the risk of being ignored has multiplied. C-suite leaders typically receive between 100 and 200 internal emails per day. They triage a queue rather than read in the traditional sense, scanning for decision signals, deciding whether to act or defer, and moving to the next item. This diagram illustrates a mathematical constraint in triage. The average email receives exactly 9 seconds of initial attention. At standard reading speed, 9 seconds equals approximately 37 words. That covers the subject line and exactly one sentence. If your core decision signal is not fully contained within those first 37 words, your intent is functionally invisible. The executive reader either skims the text and misses the primary point, or defers the email and never returns. The failure of long emails is biological, driven by cognitive load theory. This educational psychology framework, established in 1988, dictates that human working memory has a hard physiological ceiling for processing new information. This diagram shows the strict limits of that system. The human brain cannot be forced to expand its capacity on demand. Working memory is strictly capable of holding between 3 and 7 discrete elements of new data at any one time. When a dense analytical email containing 20 layered points hits this system, the brain stops encoding and discards the overflow without warning. Digital reading environments heavily compound this structural failure through the Primacy-Recency Effect. This psychological phenomenon occurs when people best remember the first and last pieces of information they perceive. Mapped against a U-shaped data curve, readers disproportionately retain the extreme top and bottom of a text, creating a deep, low-retention trough exactly in the middle. Because executives unconsciously trade deep comprehension for scanning speed, burying a vital methodology or an actionable recommendation in the middle paragraphs mathematically guarantees it will be permanently lost. There is a direct, inverse relationship between word count and executive retention. As internal emails get shorter, the probability of complete comprehension predictably scales up. This chart shows retention metrics across lengths. An 1,800-word email yields a 35% retention rate, and anything over 500 words risks failure. The sweet spot, peaking at 90% comprehension, sits strictly between 200 and 400 words. However, cutting words completely blindly introduces a very different structural risk. In a live test, a long email underwent 3 rewrite reductions. Slashing it by 75% achieves perfect readability, but triggers a paradox. As word count drops, content fidelity falls to 68%. The underlying evidence required to build trust and defend the recommendation has been entirely stripped away. Brevity without underlying substance is just noise. High-fidelity communication relies on a physical separation between the core argument and the supporting evidence. To serve both the skimming executive and the deep-diving analyst, communication must be physically divided into 2 distinct layers. The verdict must be separated from the proof. This diagram shows the required architecture. The subject line is the single most critical piece of real estate in the entire exchange. It must contain the specific decision signal, constrained between 6 and 10 highly deliberate words, and it should always be drafted last. The second layer is the email body, capped at the 200 to 400 word sweet spot, containing only the pure verdict and the immediate action items. This is physically detached from the third layer, an unlimited length attachment holding the heavy methodology, data, and full analysis. Write the 60-second email to force the immediate decision, but attach the 60-minute document to build the permanent archive. Provide the facts, secure the evidence, and let the executive choose which conversation to have.